Hello, it's Brendan from techbuzzireland. Today we have the Sweetlink, and it's the F2 Plus phone. Um, and I suppose in essence, when you're looking at the phone, this is the thing, and you can probably gather it's probably more of a big button phone, typically for the elderly, for something of that nature, with lots of little features on there itself. Manual doesn't tell us too; it gives the address details, a little bit on the exact number itself. And on the back here, which is slightly harder to read, it does tell us about the main details when you're talking about the big button, loud volume there at the moment, SOS button there as well, speed dial, charging dock, and there's a flashlight as well. That's some of the information on the phone itself. And I suppose Sweetlink have been a company that's around since 2022, so to be relatively new onto the market. They're specialising in dealing with the phones for the elderly there, and that's why you can see this particular model there at the moment. A couple of things straight away with the phone there, and we'll go into the dome. And this is what you get in the box itself. You also get charger, nice docking station, which means that you've got a home for the phone, and often you don't always have a phone fits in there as a docking station, so which is quite handy. And I'll go through the menu. Comes with your standard charger, your USB charger, which is quite good, and a lanyard there. So we'll leave them out of the way just for the moment. Typically all phones modern days USB-C, so actually the USB-C thing. You'll also see an audio jack plug as well, so you can plug your normal earphones in as well. Comes with micro things for getting your SIM card out, and most people with these smartphones would recognise that, and you can, for different types of size of cards, you can put it in. This particular one is a dual SIM, and it's also got a memory SD card, 32 gig can go into it, but I'll go into a bit more details in a few moments. Comes with a manual as well, and it comes in. This is where it gets kind of strange with this particular company, and I did mention it had been around since 2022. So typically what I love is a QR code, because the first thing I normally do is when I want to find more information about it, I'd normally get my phone, I'd link into the QR code and establish what's going on. So what I would do is just get a QR reader, and I just scan the QR code, which is my typical thing there. What it's actually doing is, I was expecting to get the user's manual. I'm getting an email address for the after sales team, which is Sweetlink. Bit of a surprise, but not the end of the world. Again, I have another QR code here, and we just go onto it, and when I log onto it, I'm going to a Facebook page. So to get my information, I've got to log on to there, and it doesn't go directly to details. So I've either got a Facebook or an email. When I've gone onto the website directly to Sweetlink website and start downloading the manual, my antivirus turned a wobbler, as in it didn't like it because SSL security things were coming through. Now that shouldn't affect the day-to-day operation of the phone itself, but just to be aware of that itself. The manual, first thing it is context, a couple of different languages, which is normal enough. The first thing it tells you is inserting the SD card. Micro SD card supports one SIM card and one micro SD card. So you've got SIM card, SD card, SIM card there at the moment, and this is just the ID on that. That's all the information it gives. What it doesn't tell you is, somebody who's an elderly person would look at the phone and kind of go, it doesn't give any instructions on how to actually do it. So you've got to pull off the back corner here, separate it, pop the battery out, and then basically there's three cards in there as well. So basically two SIM cards and one SD card, and that's the idea. We'll just go out of there for a moment. On using the phone there, it's got turning on the phone, it's got operating the phone there, it's got all the usual details, key features, etc. And I'll go to the menu, phone book, speed dial. It's got SOS memory, which is quite handy, SOS, because you can have a specific program it in. And this is going back to the specification, 859. So it should work in most of the different countries. In the GSM frequencies, the power 3 days, standby up to 120 hours, which is probably about 5 days, talk time 4 hours. So the battery life in this is quite good, as we would expect. Display memory is 32 megabytes plus 32. When you go to switch on the unit itself, and using it, the first thing you'll notice is when you use the camera, it doesn't allow you to take a picture. You've got to get an SD card, but I'll come into that in a few moments. So this is the phone itself. Surprisingly, It looks heavier than it actually is. You'll probably see a few scuff marks from my fingers for the last couple of weeks been using it. Not the end of the world. Bits and things you can pull off the plastic and then that. Couple of just the fingers, but that's relatively okay. Straight away, as we mentioned earlier on, big buttons, nice clear display. Which is good though is I can actually see the time, I can see the date, and I can see I got an SMS. You'll notice on the top left hand corner here, one has no signal and one has. I've actually got only one SIM card in this particular phone itself, which is on the thing. So it's only one SIM card and I've got a message. So it gives me all my usual expectations, I would say. Going through the menu there, I've got lots. It's got the end button, the ring, nice, clear, very easy to use. One thing I really do like about it is there's on the back. It's got, you can see the camera and thing. And we'll just put the torch on for a moment. So the torch is on there. So all I had to do really was there is hold it for a few seconds. Same way with the camera. Just hold it for a few seconds and the camera comes up. So we'll just take a picture of this. And I will show loads of other pictures of the very annoying with the camera though is when I do take a picture, I've got to go press the back button there, which is thing. So take another picture of the box. I can't take another picture. I've got to go back each time. Slightly annoying, not the end of the world. So you got to go back. And in the menu itself, you got the phone book. Nothing unusual there. We can go in, we can add new messages. We can go down to call history, so we can see who dialed, etc. Probably mostly standard enough that we're all used to there. Multimedia, camera, and we can go in this way as well. And we can kind of see what the story is. So I've just gone in earlier on via the shortcut, which is far handier. And image viewer. So these are some pictures I took earlier on. View. And you can see the pictures that's been taken there. Now obviously with this particular phone I can zoom in, etc. And options, image information. So straight away it will see is 460 by 64 size, 76k. If you compare that to the image on, you say, a smartphone there at the moment, you will straight away recognize the camera does the job, it takes a picture, but don't expect to any great quality there at the moment. When you want to share the details on the camera, you can actually plug your laptop directly into it straight away. Put it straight into a laptop, copy the information across. You can share it with Bluetooth to another phone, for example, or you can just unclip it, take the battery out, put the card out and plug it in straight into a laptop or one of the places that actually print it. Taking the battery out is slightly annoying. There's no backup memory on this, so when you plug it in straight away, you will have no ability to take any pictures. You need to put an SD card up to 32 gig. It'll actually take, format the SD card, put it in there. You've got 32 gig to use it. Again, it's annoying if you take the battery out, the time does not save. So what you have to do is you've got to manually go in and change the time each time there on that. So we just go back onto the menu. This is giving an idea. The multimedia phone contacts is just adding contacts, SOS. So SOS number, I can add a number here. So in theory, if I wanted to write down daughter, son, neighbor, I could program their particular mobile number in here. So if there was a problem, this is really, really good. Probably one of the first things that should be done, that in case of an emergency, you fall, trip, instead of having to open the phone, you can go back and program a number in. Really good. Tools, calendar, alarm, torch. So you've got all the things. Game, and nice, you got Snake there at the moment. I've played with it a bit there. Only one game on this particular one. I don't think there's an option of going back to more. Stopwatch, and that's the idea now. And settings, you got profile. Dual SIM is another strange one. It's got two SIMs, so I can have two different numbers in this particular phone. On my own smartphones, for example, quite regularly, I have two SIMs in it, one for work and one for home use. this particular one here, I don't know many elderly people who would have need for 2 SIM cards, etc. Not costing extra more, etc. Would have preferred to have more memory on that than on those details. But that's a specific choice there at the moment. Speed dial, you can program it in. Security settings, network settings, Bluetooth, so you can enable the Bluetooth and share the details. I like number 9, which is restore the factory settings. So if you did have a query there at the moment, you can just go back onto the normal settings itself, which is quite good, handy to be aware of in that. And go back, and then you're just going around in a circle there. Obviously, when you're looking at the display, you got the 2 signals, you got the message, you got there. So we will just go into a message, and we'll go into an inbox. We'll just take a message we received, and message. So we've got to go into a few different things to get into a message. And view message by Sweetlink button phone test. This is the message. So when you have the phone as normal, it's in your back pocket or wherever you want to keep it there at the moment, and you receive a call, for example. We'll just do this in testing. So if it's just lying on the table, for example, and you receive a call, it's quite good. It comes up the name and number. Obviously, if I hadn't that programmed it in. When you open it up, it doesn't answer automatically. So I've got to answer it. And now I'm actually on the call itself, and I just put onto hands-free. So which is quite nice. I now have the phone on hands-free. Testing one, and I just walked out of the room. So we just had that particular call, which is quite nice that you can actually receive it. You can actually change it, so it's when you open it, I pressed the green button to actually dial the call, etc. But it didn't actually go. When I'm going back to dial it, I just press the green button so I can redial there my last number there that I've actually dialed, and the option. Big buttons, as I said, with those things. There's other options. As I mentioned earlier, camera there is just hold it for a few seconds longer there at the moment is. Overall on this, I like the idea it's a charger, so I can actually plug it in. It's got a home there at the moment. Just plug it into my normal USB cable. I can use any of my USB details itself. Specification is quite good. Not crazy in the marketing in terms of the QR code, the links. Now, I don't think there'll be too many really elderly people using the QR codes to get information there. I also don't like the fact that when I'm on the website to download the manual, my security things is thrown. That's just an experience I suspect from the marketing thing. That is not a deterioration on the phone itself. Memory wise, when you get the phone itself, it works. You put the SIM card in there. Dual SIM is another one of those strange ones, but it's there. It doesn't cost extra. No memory in it is annoying. So the first thing you've got to do is go off and get a 32 gigabyte card, put it into there at the moment. And as I said earlier on, this is the idea. You've got to get the card to make the camera. So when you get it originally, you put the SIM in, it doesn't actually work. When you realize that, you take the battery back out, you have to reset the date and the time. It doesn't actually store that information. Slightly annoying, just little niggles that come up on there. As regarding the battery life, quite good. I think I mentioned about 5 days there at the moment on calls itself. Nice display, so I can actually see what's going on. So in other words, the display is quite clear. I know what's going on or not going on from there. Buttons are big enough, I think. Menu structure is, I suppose, standard enough for this particular time. It's been around for the same kind of family. You're not going to go too much. I do miss the likes of WhatsApp. I do miss the likes of Google Maps, because obviously this is just your basic. It's good though in the sense that it'll just switch it off. But the insert SIM there is kind of the second SIM. It's like real estate that's being used up that doesn't need to be using it. Battery life is quite clear here, and it's quite clear, so I can actually see fairly well on that. There is configurations in the nothing overly configurations that you require. And as far as an elderly person as a present or for somebody getting it there at the moment, again, I do stress it is relatively light. I was surprised how light it is, etc. on there at the moment is there. You can, as I said, use the earphones there. Really good to have that, because sometimes having a home for a charger means that if you leave it on the kitchen table, for example, you've out beside the bedroom, you've a place to leave it, and you don't have to go back. Whereas typically I'm trying to find in my own life to find out where I left the phone, what I actually put it there at the moment, and I said it's 105 grams with the battery and it sort of thing there. Camera, you're not going to have a great use for the camera on that. It will do basic but very limited, etc. on that. Thank you for watching Tech Buzz Ireland, and this was the F2 Plus phone for possibly could be used for a variety of different areas, but it's kind of targeted towards the elderly. Thank you very much.